Hi there. My name is Brenda Williams Denbo, and I am a Tennessee resident. I live in Nashville. I am a volunteer and a board member for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, the Tennessee chapter. I am also co-chair again this year of the Nashville Out of the Darkness Walk, which is a walk we do for suicide prevention and awareness. I just want to share a little bit about my story. I lost my husband, Billy, to suicide in 2012. So this July was 10 years without my husband. We eventually determined that he had struggled with depression since he was a child, but the actual diagnosis and realization didn't come until about 13 years into our marriage. He was on medication. It worked for a while, but he would stop taking it because he didn't like the way it made him feel or because he felt it quit working. It was a very frustrating process. We did some marriage counseling when he was initially diagnosed, and that did help for a long time. We learned a lot of tools, but that helped our marriage. But his depression, he was on medication. He didn't try depression therapy until the very end, when I believe it was too early in that process and too late in his process to really help at that point. But I came home and found him one day. Our world changed that day, and we lost someone we dearly loved. People will tell you when they have depression that they're doing you a favor, that you'll be better off without them. But that is not the case. That is a lie. Depression lies to you, and when people are sick with mental illness, they don't have the tools or the equipment to see through those lies without some help. So that's why I encourage you to get treatment or therapy, or if you're worried about someone, to encourage them to do that. Billy was a hilarious, creative, wonderful man, a loving father and a grandfather when he passed, and we miss him every day. You would have thought you would have met your next best friend when you met my husband. So we miss him, my family, his family, friends and acquaintances. We dearly loved him, and we think about him every day for the last decade. There are a lot of things people misunderstand about suicide. They think people do it to get attention or because they're selfish or weak. People do not choose to die that way because they are thinking of themselves. They are in pain. They believe it's the only way out. They are thinking of you. They feel you'd be better off, as I said. They are strong. They're not weak or cowardly. I struggled with a mild depression after losing my husband, and I can tell you that it's a miracle almost that he lived as long as he did, 47 years, if he was struggling with that kind of depression. People often have a psychiatric disorder. They are ill. They have depression, bipolar, anxiety, schizophrenia sometimes, and sometimes it's coupled with substance use or abuse. People think that if you mention suicide to someone, that it'll give them that idea to kill themselves, and that is quite the opposite. It lets the air out of the room. It allows them to talk about their feelings with you, with someone who cared enough to ask. And even if they're not suicidal and they let you know that, they will at least know that you cared. People believe suicide occurs without warning, but there are almost always signs that a suicide may be imminent. People think treatment doesn't work, but it does, and it can work for a lot of people. I've met those people, especially if they prioritize their mental health and get the right treatment. And it does take time and diligence, and you have to be strong to see it through. To support someone who's struggling with depression or suicide, talk to them. Assume that you're the only one who will do that. Ask if they're thinking about suicide. Find a way to connect them with resources they need. If they are suicidal, follow up to make sure they're in a safe environment, which might mean going into their home and removing guns or medication or other things that could be considered lethal. You might want to make sure they have a safety plan. They have steps in order that they can call a particular person when they're at risk, or that they will do these particular things when they're feeling suicidal. With a lost survivor, I think connection is also the key. Connect people with resources. You can start with the AFSP's Healing Conversations program. They will be able to talk to someone who's had a similar loss. but who are further down the road and can offer some encouragement and support and some hope that things will get better. You can also connect them with a survivor group, which is one of the things I did, which helped me so much, or therapy, which I also did. You can check in with them, set reminders on your calendar to remind you to do that. I do that as well. I remind myself to check in with people. And just continue to encourage them and let them know that it will eventually get better. It won't ever go away, but with time it will get better. Together, I think that if we raise awareness, talk about it more, we can be more aware, more hopeful, and more equipped to help someone who's struggling with suicide or suicide loss. I really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you so much.